So, good morning all of you. Today we are going to see a very special topic, is that rocket propulsion. Okay? In this rocket propulsion, first we have some kind of, you must know some kind of definitions and some of the nomenclatures. Then rocket propulsion, some of the classifications of rocket propulsion, how it is different with an air breathing engines. Then we will be studying about multi-staging of rockets. Okay, what are the types of multi-staging, how to solve problem on multi-staging. Then again we will focus on different types of rocket propulsion. So how does different kind of rocket propulsion how they are characterized and what are the advantages, disadvantages, and some of the numericals will be from the chemical rocket propulsion. Okay, so that multi-staging and chemical rocket propulsion we will do in the next class. This class we will do only basic rocket propulsion, the definitions, like we will see how the thrust, what is the specific impulse, what are the efficiency, the difference between the rocket, what are the main overall idea about the rocket propulsion. Okay, so today we will see that, and next class we will see the staging. It's a very small topic, the staging and the chemical rocket propulsion and other electrical rocket propulsion. So first we'll start with a basic introduction about what is rocket propulsion. So rocket propulsion, when you say the word propulsion itself, you know that means something which helps to propel forward. Okay, so before starting with the topic with the rocket propulsion, can anybody tell me what is the difference between air breathing engine and non-air breathing engine? What is air breathing engine and non-air breathing engine? So what is the difference between air breathing and non-air breathing? Anyone? Is there any difference or there is no difference? What is the difference between air breathing and non-air breathing? Yes, tell me.
Air breathing is engine which views in atmosphere. Non-air breathing is in space.
Okay.
Rocket propulsion is a non-air breathing engine.
Okay. Why it is within the atmosphere? This is outside the atmosphere.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
why it is so? Why we cannot use this within the atmosphere?
Because
Why?
it's use air. Air is used in engine.
Okay, good. So when we talk about air breathing engine, right? So it is dependent with an atmospheric air. Okay, it is dependent on the atmospheric air. But in case of this non-air breathing engine, we had a separate cylinder. We carry a separate cylinder called oxidizer. Oxidizer. So in this oxidizer, that is, it contains a separate cylinder which helps to combust and which finally produce a combustion and propels forward. Okay, so we carry a separate, because outside the atmosphere we don't have any oxygen, right? So we need to carry a separate cylinder called oxidizer. From that, when the oxidizer and the fuel mix up together and combustion takes place, the combusted material eject out from the nozzle, and that's how the thrust produced. Okay, the same concept we are going to see, that how the thrust produced for an rocket engine and what are the essentials are there. Okay, so we'll see that. Okay, now let's see how the rocket engine are being advantageous over the air breathing engine. So this is very important. So again you have to remember, this time you are having a multiple choice question. Like suppose they can give you this kind of question, like pick the right statement, select the right statement. So they will give you the 4 options, right? So in the 4 options they will give you each of the statement. So you have to, if this is a question for an example, that how the rocket engine of the following advantages over the air breathing engine, and they have given the thrust is essentially independent of speed and altitude, and thrust per frontal area is large among all the known propulsion system, while supercharged reciprocating system is the smallest. So here the frontal per thrust per frontal area is more. Okay, so these are the points. Here also the thrust to weight ratio is also more, and here it doesn't require any kind of altitude ceiling. Like you will be studying in your flight mechanics that for an air breathing engine we need some altitude ceiling, service ceiling, you need absolute ceiling, right? Here we do not require any kind of altitude ceiling. So these are the advantages. Now in your question they will give you these options, so you need to select the, if these are the options then you have to select all of them. Okay, so this time this is a unique type of question they are going to ask. So that also please go through the protocol that they have explained in IIT Bombay website, that what will be the number of questions that they are going to ask for the multiple that single choice question and the multiple choice questions. Okay, so in this our portal we are asking in a different way because we don't have a system called multiple selections. So I am giving you the statement like 1, 2, 3 statement I am giving, and I am asking you which among that following is a correct. Okay, whether it is only 1 statement is correct, whether 2 and 3 statement is correct, whether 1, 2, 3 statement is correct, or 1, 2, 3 and 4 is correct. Okay, so that follows the same pattern. Okay, so please you should know everything very widely this time. Okay, alright. So these are the basic advantages of rocket over the air breathing engine. Now what are the types? Let's look into that. What are the types? Okay. So the rocket propulsion can be classified in 2 types. One is a thermal and second is a non-thermal. Again you have to remember this chain reaction, or I can say the flow chart. Okay. This is also very important. Now rocket propulsion can be further classified in 2 types. One is a thermal, another is a non-thermal. Now thermal, from the word you can say it is a something relevant to heat. Okay. Now how this heat can be produced? Either by means of some chemical or the non-chemical, right? So let's see what are the things which are for the chemical. Chemical can be either by monopropellant, bipropellant. There are lot many types are there from the chemical propulsion, right? So bipropellant, again further classifications are there, like it can be solid, hybrid or liquid. Okay, now hybrid and liquid can be used by the system either by pressure feed system or by the pump feed system. Okay, pressure feed system or the pump feed system, that also we will look into it gradually. So what is pump feed system, how it is advantages, where they used, okay, or where they use the pressure feed system, what are the advantages in pressure feed system. So this is the chain for a chemical propulsion. Let's look into it as a non-chemical. Okay, non-chemical, we can see that it's a nuclear beamed, that means all are the iron, electrical, cold gas and the solar. So all those categories comes under the non-chemical propulsion. So again you can get a question from here is that find out the odd one out. So they can give you some of the question like find out the odd one out. So they will give you the option like nuclear, electrical, coal gas, and they will use another one is the maybe solid propellant. So yeah, which is the odd one is a solid propellant, because the solid propellant comes under the thermal chemical category, under the thermal chemical category. Okay, these are the non-chemical rocket propulsion. Okay, I hope all of you are noting down simultaneously. Next we will move to learn very important what are the different types of propellant and how they are working and so on. Okay. So classifications, just a second. So rocket propulsion can be further classified, okay, with a number of stages. Okay, number of stages. So if there is a number of stages, it can be divided by the single stage and the multi-stage. Okay. Next, it is based on the applications. Okay, next based on the application. So it can be of the 7 types: space rockets, military rockets, weather or sounding rockets, aircraft propulsion, turbo rocket engines, ram rocket engines, etc., booster rockets, sustainer rockets, and tractor rockets. Okay. So you must know the basic applications of this rockets. Next, it is a very important thing. Now this tabular column explains that comparative data or comparison of this rocket engine, okay, rocket engine, turbojet, and the ramjet. Okay, so you have to remember. So what are the parameters they have seen? The thrust to weight ratio, SFC, specific thrust, then what happens with change in altitude. Okay, that is change in altitude, thrust versus change in altitude, thrust versus speed. Okay, then thrust versus air temperature, then flight speed versus this exhaust speed. Okay, altitude limitations, that is height and ISP. Now you can expect questions from this particular tabular column. So you must know how this particular rockets are varying or varying from rocket turbojet and the ramjet. Okay. Now when we use a term called rocket engine, okay, when that means chemical rocket engine means we defines a liquid propulsion. Okay, liquid propulsion. And when we use a word called rocket motors, that means it is a solid propulsion. That means solid propellant had been used. Is that clear? Please unmute. Okay. Okay, got it. So whenever in the question, if you see, they might even they can confuse you. Okay, they will give you some of the, we will also see list of the propellants. Okay, list of the propellants. Now they will ask you find out the suitable propellants for a chemical rocket engine. Now in that propellants they might mix with some of the solid propellants. Okay, so you should able to know the difference between the rocket engine and the rocket motors. Okay, so so let's see how this thrust to weight ratio is differ from this 3 engines. Now please note down this important parameters. Now if I have to say, can I say that compare the data? So here the thrust to weight ratio is so high, right? So can I write thrust to weight ratio is more for a rocket then thrust to weight ratio is greater than ramjet, then greater than turbojet. Can I write in this way?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? These are the important significance. Please remember this pattern. Okay, remember this pattern. So anytime, any ways they can ask you this thing. Now they can state in this way that among this, whose thrust to weight ratio will be more, or they can ask, find out the correct statement among all those things. Okay, so either of the way you have to remember, or they may ask you the find out the right sequence. They will give you all the sequences based on the rocket, ramjet, turbojet. Right? So can I say using this statement that if I have to use turboprop, for an example turboprop, then definitely it has to be less than compared to all, right? So I can also state likewise. Can I? If they are including turboprop, I can easily write like this, right? That T by W turbojet is greater than T by W of turboprop. Can I state like that? Yes? Can I?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. All right. Okay. Next, we will see that SFC. Okay. Next we'll see SFC. Now see the SFC, what is a unit? Okay, unit also you see, whatever. But see the values. Now can I say again that SFC for an rocket is greater than SFC for an ramjet greater than SFC for an turbojet. Can I? Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, how we can relate the SFC with a specific impulse? SFC with specific impulse. Already we have seen studied in the air-breathing engine, but we know the relation, how they are related. They are inversely proportional, right? Now let's look into the SFC. This specific impulse over here. Now you see, now what I can relate over here in specific impulse, the ISP of rocket is less than, next is ISP of ramjet than ISP of an turbojet. I can say that. Can I state that? Right? So, specific impulse for a rocket is less than specific impulse of ramjet less than specific impulse of turbojet. Right? Clear? Now let's look into how the specific thrust are depends on. Right? Specific thrust are depends on. So similarly, you have to follow, they are quite interconnected with each other. Specific thrust and this thrust to weight ratio. Now you see, let's consider f of t of rocket is greater than f of t of ramjet greater than of t of turbojet, right? So this, then I can say among the ramjet and turbojet, the specific thrust of the rocket will be much higher. I can bring to this conclusion also, is much higher as compared with the ramjet and turbojet, right? On the same note, I can also state sequentially likewise. Sequentially I can refer like this also. Now let's see how this particular engine, air breathing engines and the non-air breathing engine, differs with changing in altitude. The thrust differs with altitude. Now this is also a very important. You can they can ask anytime. So they might ask you a question like this from this particular statement, that how the rocket performance changes as it increases in altitude. Okay, so performance means what? The thrust I can say here. So I can say for the rocket it is slightly increases. We cannot say it is constant. As it changes in altitude, it slightly changes its thrust. But if I look for the turbojet and ramjet, as it increases its altitude, the thrust decreases. And can anybody tell why for an turbojet and the ramjet the thrust decreases with increase in altitude?
Ma'am, in turbojet and ramjet engine, the oxygen is acquired from the atmosphere, but in we used to have an oxidizer.
Yes.
So,
Yes, that key point, you missed that key point. That is what you have stated is absolutely right. The key point is that density changes as we increase in altitude. Since they are air breathing engine, they are dependent with an atmospheric air. Now what happens with the atmospheric air? As we increase in altitude, the density decreases, right? So for the ramjet or for the turbojet, the thrust is maximum at the sea level condition, and gradually as it increases altitude, the thrust decreases because of the density decreases. Okay, got the point? Please let me know.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Now let's see the next point. I'm changing the colors because you should not get confused. That's why I'm changing the colors. Okay. Now next we will see, this is done. Then thrust versus the flight speed. Okay, flight speed. Let's consider VA. Now how this depends. Okay. Now almost for an rocket engine, right? It almost remain constant, but for the turbojet and for the ramjet, it increases with speed. Okay, increases the thrust. If the thrust increases, it will increase the, because you know it is dependent with P minus VA. If this is parameter is they dependent with this parameter, right? VA means a flight speed. So if this differences increases, then definitely thrust will also increase, right? Okay, now let's see the next one, how the thrust changes or depends with an air temperature. Okay, so since in the rocket it is doesn't depends with the air temperature, right? Because they had,
Yes, ma'am.
yes.
I mean, thrust versus flight speed, if the velocity of the aircraft increases, the thrust should decreases only, no, ma'am, because it's in subtraction with the exit velocity.
Sorry.
And the velocity of an aircraft is subtracted from the jet velocity. So if the velocity of the aircraft increases, the overall thrust should decrease only, no, ma'am.
Okay, no, I'm talking about flight speed.
Yes, ma'am, velocity of the aircraft is the flight speed. If this is, we are subtracting that speed with the jet velocity, exit velocity of the exhaust. If that's so, that the overall term will become smaller. If the velocity of the aircraft increases, then how would be the total thrust will increase, ma'am?
Okay, got it, what you are trying to say. Okay, right, that's okay. Got your point. Currently speed. Okay, I will look into that. Okay, I will look into that. We'll look into that. Okay. That's right. If this is increases, the difference will increase, right? So then thrust will decrease. Absolutely. I will see that. Okay. Okay. All right. Now next is that how it depends with air temperature, right? So since the rocket, it doesn't depends with atmospheric conditions, right? So it will remains constant, right? It will remains constant. But let's look into that again. Turbojet and ramjet, again it is dependent with an atmospheric condition, right? As we increase in altitude, what happens? The temperature decreases. So what will happen? The thrust decreases with temperature for both the turbojet and the ramjet condition. Now sometimes they might confuse in this way also, that by asking like first increases then decreases, then first decreases then increases, right? They might also confuse you in that way, right? Please know the statement how that temperature depends with change in altitude. So next comes flight speed versus exhaust velocity. So how they are related? So it is unrelated because always the flight speed can be greater, right? Here it is unrelated because when we use that mostly in the thrust equation, when we use that, we won't be having that VE only, right? We won't be considering the VA over here. So we will look into that equation again, how it is not related. So next comes flight speed always less than the exhaust velocity. That means VA is always less than VE in case of turbojet, and here also the VA is always less than VE. So always the VE should be greater than VA because thrust equals to m dot VE minus VA. Okay. Next, altitude limitations. Now, yes, you know that for an rocket we don't have any kind of limits, right? So we don't have any sort of limitations, but yes, for turbojet and for ramjet we do have. So for the turbojet we have that 14 to 17 kilometer, right? It can ranges till 14 to 17 kilometer. For ramjet, if it is approaching to Mach 3, then it is 20 kilometer. Mach 5, it is 30 kilometer. So this is beyond the scramjet and so on. So it will reach to 45 kilometer and so on. Okay. Now is the statement clear to all of you? That how this rocket, turbojet and ramjet differs with various kind of parameters, except that thrust versus flight speed. I will look into that. Okay.
Ma'am,
Hmm.
the thrust change with the altitude, ma'am. Ma'am, in case of rocket, ma'am, how it is affecting, ma'am? You have said that slight increase.
Which one?
Means
Which
there
one?
is no effect of altitude, right?
There is
For the
no
rocket.
slight. There is no effect, but slightly increases, right?
How?
It is based on, not based on the altitude, but as we increase the altitude, the thrust will be increasing, right? Have you seen launching the any kind of rocket during recently JAXA and SpaceX have launched? Have you seen gradually it will increase and reach to then Mach 30 and beyond, right? It is not dependent with an altitude, but what happens as it increases in altitude, the thrust gradually increases, right? It is independent of the altitude, right? But it has to increase because it has to approach the it has to what we call, there is a term called when they exit out from the atmospheric layer, right? So they need some kind of inertia. They need some kind of momentum to expel out from the atmosphere, right? So gradually what happens, the thrust increases as they go and reach near to the atmospheric boundary. Okay, so only they can eject out from that particular atmospheric line and they can move to the space. Same as you have seen that when the vehicle is entering into the atmosphere. You got my point? So they need to approach the velocity, they need to approach the thrust at high extent so that they can enter into the space. Okay, from the atmosphere to the space. That's the main reason they need to do that gradually. They cannot increase the speed at once. Okay, so gradually they need to increase. Got my point? Am I audible? Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
In thrust versus flight speed, the increase in velocity, aircraft velocity plays with mass flow rate, ma'am. So only it's
Which
changing
one?
like
Which one?
flying speed, ma'am.
Flying. Which one? Which point?
Flight speed.
Thrust versus
Flight speed.
flight speed. Okay.
Increasing aircraft speed plays with the mass flow rate, ma'am. I just calculate the sample calculation, the slide and sample calculation. In that, if the velocity, aircraft velocity changes, the mass flow rate changes, ma'am. So only the overall thrust is changing.
See, they are dependent in both the parameters, right? So both the parameters, mass flow rate is also equally important. The exit velocity is important, and also the flight speed, right? Both are equally important for this. But
Is increasing, ma'am. If the aircraft velocity is increased with a constant density and a constant overall mass flow rate increases, ma'am. So at finally the total thrust produced is increased, ma'am.
I will let me look into it. Okay, let me look into this particular point. Okay, okay. I don't want to bring into any conclusion right now. Let me look into it deeply, and then I will discuss this particular parameter. Okay. All right. Fine. So next we have some of the very important definitions that we need to remember, and you can expect lot many problems coming out from the particular definitions. Okay. So first comes a total impulse. Please all of you note down the formula, right? So total impulse defined as the I suffix t. Okay, I suffix t, okay, equals to the thrust into the time of burn. In some of the textbook you can see the TB they have written. Okay, TB is a burning time. Okay, this is the burning time. Okay, so it is a product of the thrust force into the burning time. Okay, so what will be the unit for this total impulse? Can you say what will be the unit? Newton second. Okay, are you noting down, all of you? Are you noting down? Please unmute. Okay. Okay. Please, when I'm asking, please respond, because sometimes I can assure my internet connectivity is alright also. Okay. So please you respond. Now similarly, we can find the specific impulse. Okay. So specific impulse, it is denoted by the letter I suffix sp. So it is a ratio between the total impulse per unit weight of the propellant. So it can be also written as likewise that specific impulse equals to F by dot, that is force by m dot g. Okay, So what is the unit for this one?
Second.
Yes, the unit is second. Now this can be also be written as, we just now we have seen how the total impulse is force into burning time, Now instead of force, that is thrust, becomes by TB. Now if I substitute over here, right, instead of the thrust, IT into burning time into m dot into g, right, that is ISP. So what is m dot? M dot is nothing but mass by TB into g. This will get cancelled off, so IT by, I can say the mass into weight mass into gravity is a weight, right? So we get like this. You got my, did you get it? Did you get it? If not this one, they might ask you in this way. Could you able to follow, all of you?
Yes.
Okay. Now next important thing is that effective exhaust velocity. Okay, effective exhaust velocity. Now this can be denoted by either some of the textbook they are written by C, and some textbook they are written as capital V suffix EFF, effective. Okay, in short, effective EFF. So it is also can be written as, it's a product of specific impulse into the gravity, or it is the ratio between the thrust force by the mass flow rate. Okay. So the unit is, so in general we can also say the thrust force equals to m dot into V effective. Did you get it? Shall I move to next?
Yes.
Okay. Next is specific propellant consumption. Okay, specific propellant consumption. So usually this specific propellant consumption are not that much effective or used in rocket propulsion, but still we will look into it. What is the specific propellant consumption? It is just an reciprocal of this specific impulse. Okay, or I can say it is nothing but SFC. Okay, SPC or SFC. So what is specific impulse? We have seen specific impulse, we have seen the total impulse by the weight or the thrust force by m dot g. So if it is a reciprocal, we can write m dot g by f, okay, or w dot by f, or it can be also written as, because m dot into g, what is f? That is m dot into v effective. So this will get cancelled off. We get g by v ff. This is nothing but second inverse. See why I'm expanding, because sometimes they can give you the data relevant to that, so you should able to substitute the values and find out the unknown parameters. Okay, shall I move to the next one?
Yes.
And very important is a mass ratio. Okay, mass ratio denoted by MR. Okay, it is a ratio between the final mass. Okay, that what is mean by final means after the rocket operation has consumed all the useful propellant by the m naught. M naught means before the propellant, or I can say m naught means the initial mass or the total mass. Okay, mf means the final mass. Okay, final mass, that means suppose we have total means that structural plus the propellant. Can you follow? The structural weight of the rocket, the mass of the rocket plus the propellant weight. So when the propellant has been completely used up, right, we get remaining is only the structural weight, that is a final mass, we can say. Structural weight, in some book they can also as burnout mass. Can you follow? So I can write the propellant. I think next we will see the propellant mass only. Propellant mass equals to the initial mass. Initially we write as m naught. Okay, m naught minus mb. B is a burnout or the structural mass. Okay, the meaning you should understand, or the final mass. Could you able to follow? Please let me know. Should I repeat it once again? Got it, all of you? Alright. So it is a ratio between the final by the initial one. Right? So can you tell me that what should be the mass fraction ranges? So which one is higher? Which one is higher? M naught is higher or NF is higher? Which mass? M naught should be greater than MF, right? So if the denominator we have the greater value and numerator has a less value, so always the mass fraction should be less than 1. This value should be always less than 1, right? So there was a question in GATE, so what should be the values for that mass ratios? So this is a concept again, right? Because the initial mass should be, or the total mass should be always greater than the final mass. Okay. Next comes propellant mass fraction. Okay, propellant mass fraction, it is a ratio or the fraction between the propellant mass to the initial mass, okay, or the total mass. So propellant mass written as m suffix p by the initial, right? Now what we know from the previous this thing, that total mass or total mass of the initial mass is equivalent to the burnout plus the propellant, or I can say the final plus this. Now from here we can also state that the propellant mass equals to that initial mass minus the final mass. So I am putting, instead of MP, instead of the propellant mass, I am substituting this value divided by this m naught. So what I will get here then, if I get m naught minus mf divided by m naught, right, what will I get? 1 minus mf by m naught will I get. And what is mf by m naught? is nothing but the mass ratio. So I can state that, okay, propellant mass equals to 1 minus mR. So propellant mass fraction equals to the mR. Now from there again I can state that mR equals to propellant mass, 1 minus of propellant mass fraction. It is 1 minus V by m naught. Right? I can also state likewise. Now what is the unit for this propellant mass fraction? What should be the unit? It is a dimensionless number. Okay. Next important parameter is impulse to weight ratio. Okay. Let's see what is impulse to weight ratio. Impulse to weight ratio defines, so what is weight? M naught equals to final mass plus propellant. They have just substituted over here, right? Simplified, and they have got this value. Okay, they have got this value. Okay, got this value. Please note down this formula. Shall I move to the next one?
Yes.
Okay. Alright. Next is a thrust to weight ratio. So whatever the thrust is very simple as that, whatever the mass fraction, again W naught equals to M naught into G. So what is M naught? M naught equals to MP plus MF. Substitute that value, you will get that. Next is a thrust. Okay, coming to the very important thing is a thrust. Now you know the basic formula for the thrust, okay, that we have seen in an air breathing engine. So what was the formula? M dot VE minus VA plus PE minus PA into AE. Right? This was the formula we have seen previously. Am I right? Could you follow?
Yes.
And this is known as a momentum thrust, and this is known as a pressure thrust. Okay. Now in that case, if the pressure thrust is not there for an suppose PE equals to PA, okay, PE equals to PA, then pressure thrust will becomes 0, then we will have T equals to M dot VE minus VA. If the VA tends to 0, then equals to M dot into V. Right? These are the basic things that you have seen. Now let's see how to relate this formula. Okay. So there is a small derivation. So you must know in terms of, no need to know the derivation, just remember the final expression. So thrust equals to M dot into V effective equals to M dot into VE plus PE minus PA into VE. Please note down the formula which I am writing. Okay. Now in that case, Now all the time V effective is not as equal to the exhaust velocity. So if you need to find out the V effective, right? So V effective equals to VE plus PE minus PA by M dot AE. Could you follow? Please respond. Meanwhile, now in that case, VE is an exhaust velocity, VEFF is an effective exhaust velocity. Okay, effective. If they have mentioned it separately, the V effective and exhaust velocity separately, then you have to use this formula. In that case, if they have not mentioned anything separately, then both the exhaust velocity and the effective exhaust velocity going to be same. Could you follow? Good. Now, how to find this VE in other ways? Now, VE explains that it's a formula 2 Cp T naught E by Te. This is a formula to find out the exhaust velocity. Okay. Now, what is Te? Is a static or the total total exit temperature. Okay, total exit temperature, and this is a total static temperature. In ideal case, it should be equal to the combustion chamber, right? So sometimes they may not say that what is the exit total temperature, exit temperature. They might give you the total or the combustion chamber temperature, combustion chamber or the thrust chamber temperature. So both will be equal. So this can be also written as root over 2 Cp Tc minus Te. Okay. Now further this can be written, you know what is Cp? Cp by Cv equals to gamma. From that relation you can and Cp minus Cv equals to R. So based on this particular relations, we can relate with the gamma and R. So V equals to root over 2 gamma R by gamma minus 1 into T naught E 1 minus T E by T naught E. Is it okay? Can you follow? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, from that another isentropic relation, you can state that Te by T naught E can be written as Pe by P naught E by gamma minus 1 by gamma. Now this simple, again this equation can be rewrite as V equals to root over 2 dot gamma R by gamma minus 1 T naught E 1 minus, let's make it in this way, Pe by P naught E gamma minus 1 by gamma, close the bracket. Would you follow? Now I hope all of you are noting down this thing. Now what happens when the exhaust speed becomes
Ma'am?
maximum? Yes.
Hello. Ma'am,
Yes.
TOE and TC term, ma'am, I'm unable to get it.
Which one? Which one? Which one?
TOE and TC, ma'am.
POE and P
TC, ma'am.
PC. It's PE.
T means for earlier, ma'am, TOE equal to TC.
Acha. You are talking about this one?
Yeah, ma'am. Means term, ma'am.
Okay. TOE is an total exit temperature, which is equivalent to the thrust chamber temperature. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
why that is TC.
Okay.
Okay, and TE is an static exit temperature. This is total, this is static. Okay, got it?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Now to obtain, now if your flight need to obtain the maximum exhaust speed, so this can be only happens when the exit pressure has to be 0. The exit pressure, that is PE, has to be 0. Then we can get a equation something like that is VE max. Suppose in the question they have given the exit or find out the maximum exhaust speed, then you have to use this formula into T naught E. Only this term will be there, this term will become 0. Okay. Okay. Shall I make change?
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Oops. Just a second. Now, this we will also you have to take care that how if we have lot many different kind of rocket propulsion system. Okay, how now among this rocket propulsion system, this is previously we have seen for an globally for an rocket, turbojet and ramjet we have seen. Now this is a comparison within this rocket propulsion. Now among this, whose specific impulse is more, whose maximum which one can attain the maximum temperature, whose thrust to weight ratio is more, right? Then specific power, right? And yes, these are the major thing. Again, you have to see the comparison for that. Okay, so this we will come again at the end when we complete the this rocket propulsion. Right, the end we will come. Now coming to the another important parameter is a characteristic velocity. Characteristic velocity defined as C star. Now it is again the ratio between the product, first the product of let me write PC A star by M dot. Okay. Now PC means it is for an thrust chamber, pressure at a thrust chamber. Okay, please note down. Now PC can be written, some places they have representing P naught. Okay, so either of that, or some places they are writing P naught E. Okay, so note down, this is the value for an pressure at a thrust chamber. A star denoted by an area at the throat. A star or A suffix T defines the throat area. Okay, m dot is a mass flow rate. So this is the formula for an characteristic velocity. So you must need to remember this formula to solve any sort of problems. Next comes another important formula is a thrust coefficient. Okay. Thrust coefficient or the thrust CF into TC into A star. So already you know this formula. There is another formula of the thrust. So from that we can rewrite the equation as that is CF, that is a thrust coefficient, equals to thrust by the PC means the pressure at a chamber, thrust chamber, A star means the throat area. This is another formula. Now one more formula you might need to require. Okay, so I think this one you will study in your compressible flow. So let me give you the formula in advance. There is a ratio between the area of the exit and the area of the throat. Okay, AE by A star. There is a formula 1 by AE let me write in a this place is not sufficient. So you need to remember this formula. Okay, so AE by A star equals to 1 by ME by gamma plus 1 by 1 plus this gamma minus 1 by 2 ME square gamma plus 1 by gamma minus 1. Could you able to follow? So AE by A star equals to 1 by ME root over, complete root over, open a bracket, 2 by gamma plus 1 into 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2 ME square, close the bracket, whole this is within the bracket, okay, power gamma plus 1 by gamma minus 1. Alright, is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please note down the formulas. Okay. Next we will move for the efficiencies and some of the energies. Okay. So first in a rocket we have another is a power of the jet. Okay, power of the jet represents that how much time rate of expenditure of the energy. Okay, that is how much time constraint it took to eject the expand the hot gases out, expels out from the nozzle. Okay, so this is a simple formula. Okay, that is the power of the jet equals to half m dot by v square. Now here again the v means it is an effective. Okay, this is an half m dot v effective square. Okay, and v effective we can write specific impulse into g. This into g. So next comes specific power. Specific power means it is nothing but the power of the jet divided by the total or the initial mass. So initial mass means what? Again the mass of the propellant plus mass of the final or the burnout gases. I hope you are noting down the formulas simultaneously. Okay, next comes the maximum energy. Okay, maximum energy, the power input to the chemical engine. Okay, power input to the chemical engine, that is a P chemical, can be defined as M dot QR. Okay, QR into J. So I think I missed the value of J. Please keep a hold on this formula. I will confirm that. Okay. Now move to the next, the power transient to the vehicle. Okay, power transient to the vehicle equals to thrust into the effective exit velocity. Okay, effective exit velocity. I hope you are noting down the formula simultaneously. Next comes propulsive efficiency. Okay, here the propulsive efficiency as compared with the air breathing engine will be different. This is the formula for an propulsive efficiency. Okay, so sigma equals to VA by VE or VA by V effective. Okay. This is the formula. Okay, can you follow simultaneously? Please let me know. Guys, can you follow?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please note down the formula. So again, this part we will come at the end. Okay, this one again will come at the end. How this different kind of propulsion depends on the specific impulse, which one is the highest. So many times they have asked this question. Okay, coming to the flight performance. Okay, now we will look into the flight performance. Now this flight performance, they have two different kind of statements or two different kind of flight patterns. Okay, so one is depend on the free gravity free drag free space flight. Okay, gravity free drag free space flight, and second one we have the force acting on the vehicle in an atmosphere. So you have to look into the question that which kind of pattern they have asked you, that what they have asked you to find out. Okay, so if they are asking the gravity free and drag free, then you have to utilize this formula. If they are asking the force is added on and force acting or something relevant to that, or the gravitational force is constant, so you have to use this formula. Okay, so two kind of formulas are there. So if there is no gravity, the gravitational forces or gravity free and the drag free, you have to use this formula. Okay, please note down this formula. This is a derivation. The final expression is this one. This is a final expression. Okay. Velocity increment. What is mr? I hope you remember mr is mf by m naught, right? mr equals to mf by m naught. Could you follow this? Please respond.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is for the condition when no drag and no gravitational forces causing into it. So that time you have to use this formula. Next, another important thing that you need to understand from this particular graph. Okay. So what you can understand from this first particular graph. So this is the propellant mass fraction, right? Propellant mass fraction. So as we increasing our propellant mass fraction at a given flight speed, if I am increasing the propellant mass fraction, so what I will get? I can attain the maximum vehicle velocity. I can attain an maximum vehicle velocity. Am I right? Did you get the point? Next,
Yes.
next statement I can say.
Ma'am, 1 second, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, second time, ma'am. Last point.
Okay. At a given exhaust velocity, at a certain given amount of exhaust velocity, if I am increasing my mass fraction, propellant mass fraction, okay, what will happen? I can attain the maximum vehicle velocity. I can attain the maximum vehicle velocity. Now what happens on next point, what we can bring to a conclusion, as we increase the average effective exhaust velocity, then my mass fraction, right? Mass fraction, at some constant mass fraction, my maximum vehicle velocity will also increase. Or I can say likewise, at a certain amount of mass fraction, if I am increasing the exhaust velocity, my vehicle velocity, the maximum vehicle velocity will also increase. Right? Got the point?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Now from the second graph. Okay. Now what we can bring to a conclusion, right? Another conclusion we can bring that if my at a certain amount of specific impulse, by increasing my mass ratio, then what will happen? Mass ratio here defined. See what is a mass ratio? Here they are defining mr equals to mf by m naught. Okay, by increasing my so please make a note here. The mass ratio they are defining in a reverse way, that is 1 by mr. Okay, mass ratio they are defining 1 by mr. Okay, by increasing my mass ratio, right? So what is happening? My maximizing my vehicle speed at a certain amount of specific impulse. By increasing my mass ratio, I am increasing my vehicle maximum vehicle velocity. Now second statement I can also state that at a certain amount of mass ratio, right? If I want to increase my specific impulse, I can attain a maximum vehicle velocity. I can attain maximum vehicle velocity. Got the point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now please make a note here. Like here, as we have studied, the mass ratio means that mf by m naught, right? So whose value should be less than 1. But here they have taken the reverse of mass ratio. Okay, reverse pattern of mass ratio, that is they have taken 1 by mr, that is m naught by mf, which should be greater than 1, always greater than 1. So make the statement clearly. When you are noting down, make that statement clearly. Okay? Okay. Next is, again, here they have taken 1 by mr. 1 by mr. Okay. So as we increasing the 1 by mr fraction, increasing my 1 by mr, so what I'm getting, I'm able to increase, I could able to increase my velocity increment, which we have seen previously, that is del v equals to v effective ln 1 by mr, right? Next statement, I can say that at certain value of this 1 by mr value, as I'm increasing my effective exhaust velocity, I could able to maximize the velocity increment also. Okay, so what you do is remember the graph, right? Remember the graph, and from that graph they are going to ask you the question. They will ask you this simple question: at a given constant parameter, what will be the effect of the other parameters? Got it? Should I move to next?
Yes,
Ma'am, how MR can be increased, ma'am?
Which one?
MR can be increased. How
No.
MR can be
How the MR
can be increased.
MR can be increased. See, what is MR? This is the final
M.
by this. Okay. This is the value.
But
Here we have taken 1 by MR. What I have
means
said,
original
MR.
mass fraction is a fixed, right, ma'am?
No. It will vary now. Original mass fraction, it will vary based on the structural, based on the propulsion, which propellant you are using. And not only that, we will see more deep when we are going for chemical, because solid, we will see solid motors, how it varies for the liquid propulsion, right? All those things we will again see that. Okay, we cannot say it is fixed. It will vary, right? If I change the total mass, then based on my propellant, the final burnout gases will be there, right? One more thing, some textbook they have instead of mf they are writing m suffix b, that is a burnout gas by the total mass or the initial. They are also remarking like that also. Okay, is that clear to you? Please let me know.
Yeah.
Now next comes the force acting on a vehicle. So for if they give a statement called assuming the force acting on a vehicle or something like gravitational acceleration is constant. So before it was free, gravitational and the drag force were free, but here in the second condition there is a constant gravitational force or acceleration. Okay, in that case you have to use this particular formula. Okay, you have to use this particular formula, or it can be also written as U or V. Okay, it's P into G ln 1 by mr minus gt. Okay, so V effective, I can also write this one combinedly is a V effective ln, what is mr? Mr is mf by m naught, so I can write m naught by mf minus gt. What is m naught? mf plus mp, So I can write mf plus mp by mf minus gt. Then it can also be written as ln 1 plus mp by mf minus gt. So either of this we can write, or we can also state this way, right? Clear?
Yeah.
Clear to all of you? Have you noted down all the formulas? Have you noted down all the formulas? Okay, now we will solve some of the problems, okay? Can you see my screen? Just let me know. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Just unmute. Rocket propulsion numericals. Please let me know. Students. Students, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Okay, so let's start with this question. Okay, a spacecraft's engine eject mass at a rate of 30 kg per second with an exhaust velocity 3100 meter per second. The pressure at the nozzle exit is 5 kilopascal and the exit area is 0.7 meter square. What is the thrust of the engine in a vacuum? So first we will note down the given data. This is the m dot, that is mass flow rate, has been given. Exhaust, that is VE. Exit, that is PE, has been given. Exit area AE. Now first recall what is the formula for the thrust. To here we need to find the thrust. So m dot VE, since they have given the P value, so we will take PE minus PA into AE. This is our basic formula for the thrust of an engine in vacuum. Now since they have given in vacuum, that means PA will be 0. So all the values are given. So it is 30,3100 plus, here we have 5 into 10 power 3 minus 0 into 0.7. Very simple one. Solve and tell me the answer. Solve this and let me know the answer.
$96.5 kilo Newton.
96.5
kilonewton.
Okay, good. This is the answer. Okay, I hope all of you got this answer. Alright. Now let's solve something different problem. Okay, a rocket powered by a liquid propellant rocket motor has on following data. Thrust force has been given at sea level. Propellant consumption rate has been given. Propellant consumption rate means they have given The gas exit static pressure has been given, then exhaust area has been given. Now if the exhaust speed is kept constant, okay, calculate the effective exhaust speed and the thrust force for the following cases. Now here we need to find out here they have said exhaust speed has been remained constant, and to calculate the effective exhaust speed and find out the following thrust force in the following cases. Okay, so at the sea level operation, okay, when sea level operation they have given the PA equals to 101 kilopascal. They have given that value, right? So how to solve? So what is the formula for the thrust? Thrust, you remember, again the same thing, V m dot V E plus PE minus PA into AE. So PA is also provided, PE is given, AE is given, then m dot is given. Okay, so thrust is given. For at the sea level the thrust is given, so we can find out VE, right? Another formula is there, m dot equal to V effective. So using that formula, V effective equals to thrust is known, that is thrust per m dot. So what is thrust? 450 kilonewton into 10 power 3 into 150. We will get the effective at the sea level condition. V effective at the sea level condition. Okay, and sea level condition thrust is already given, right? So no need to find. So tell me the value. What will be the value? V effective at the sea level condition. Could you able to follow?
3000.
3000 meter per second. Okay. Now this is the effective we have known, since they have said if the exhaust speed will remain constant. Now can we find then what is the VE value then? Can we find what is the VE value?
2766.60.
27.
2766.6 meters.
Are you sure? Because
Yeah,
how you are going to find this one? This
ma'am, I
value?
have found out by means previous formula, ma'am. T is equal to m dot v. First, ma'am.
See,
First
V effective
relation.
equals to VE plus PE minus PA by m dot into AE. This is the formula. Now this is known to us.
Yeah.
This is known, right? This particular thing is also known. We need to find this one.
Ma'am,
Are
I
you-
have found it by above relation, ma'am. T is equal to m dot v plus p minus p into e.
Okay, you have used this formula.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, either of the way you should get the same
Ah, ma'am.
answer.
Both are same only.
But I am getting a different answer. Others, please let me know. Are you getting that same answer or not? 3103. Others, please let me know the answer.
I go 2767.
2767.
Yes.
Oh, no, this is the for the VE, right?
Yeah, ma'am. Same I got, ma'am. VE only.
Okay, then I have done some error might be. So let me note down the values. Okay. I think let me check it once again. Okay, fine. Let's move to the next. Then they have said at an altitude of 3 km when the PA value is this much. Okay. Now how you are going to find out then? So again you need to find out V effective at this condition. So what is the formula for V effective? We are going to use VE plus PE minus PA AE. Now instead of this PA you are going to use this value, right? Here PE and PA is same, right? PE equals to PA is same. So this parameter will get cancelled off. So whatever the value V effective will be the value of VE, right? VE is already found out because they have given the word as it's kept constant, right? Could you follow? Now thrust equals to m dot is V effective, right? So m value is known, that is 150 kg per second into VE, whatever the value is, 2767. Tell me the value. What is the answer? What is the answer? 3103. Mohit, are you getting this 3103? So that is the answer, even I have got it. That is for the, yes, same answer I have got. So please others, please check that answer. I have also got that value of VE is, that is VE I have got 3103 meter per second. That is the value I have got. Please recheck it once again. And after applying that value at the second category, second condition, the thrust value should be 6465.45 kilonewton. Just let me know the answer. Are you getting the same answer or not? Okay, right. So others, please let me know. Then next when you need to find for this air operation when P equals to 0.0. So you will have V effective should be VE plus PE and AE, because PA will become 0. Here we have 0. So just substitute that and tell me the answer. VE is constant, that is 3103. We will get to know that is V effective. From that you find M dot V effective. I got near about answer as 545 kilonewton. Just let me know the answer. Are you getting the same value or not? Yes, yes, exactly. Great. It is around 500.45 kilonewton. Yeah. Okay. Shall I move to the next problem? Just let me know. All of you have solved? Students, shall I?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, okay. Now this is also similar kind of problem. Let's solve something different. Yeah. So this is they have asked one of the in one of the questions like in GATE. So a spacecraft's dry mass they have given, okay, and the effective exhaust gas velocity has been given. V effective has been given. How much propellant must be carried if the propulsion system to produce a total they have given. Okay. So here they have given spacecraft's dry mass. So what does it mean? What is that value has been given? Which mass has been given?
MF, ma'am. MF.
Exactly, very good. Dry, that means that is all the propellant has been expelled out. Okay, MF value has been given. Now here they have not given any sort of conditions. Okay, any sort of conditions has been given. So we need to assume it is a drag free and the gravity free. Okay, gravity free condition. Now, or you can say, what is the formula? It was ISP G none 1 by MR. This was the formula, or I can also write V effective ln MF by M naught by MF. I can write this formula. So this value is given, this value is given, this is given. Now they need to find how much propellant, MP. So what is M naught? M naught equals to MF plus MP. So I can write this equation, V effective ln MF plus MP by MF. Right? Now you have all these values, and from there find out what is the MP value. Find out and tell me the answer. So first what you do is ln M naught by MF equals to del U by VF. Solve this. To eliminate this ln, what you are going to do? Because you don't know this value, how you can eliminate this ln?
Ma'am,
Yes.
18750
Which one value?
MP
MP is 18.
750.
Okay, near about answer. When I solve, I got 1900. What about the others? Okay, so near about answer, right? Okay, let's find for this one. 500 5000 kg spacecraft is in Earth's orbit, traveling at an velocity of this much, 7790 meter per second. Its engine is born to be accelerated is to velocity of 12,000 meter per second, placing it to an escape trajectory. The engine expels mass at a rate of 10 kg per second, and an effective velocity has been given this much. Calculate the duration of burn. Okay, here they have asked the duration of burn. Again, they have not given you the your any parameters, whether it is an what conditions, right? But here they have given engine is to burn to accelerate it to a velocity. So tell me, what are the values they have given? M dot has been given. V effective is there. Then spacecraft total weight is given.
V. V, man, accelerate to a velocity.
And what is this velocity? The velocity accelerate
V.
and VE.
Yeah.
They have given this value, that is 1200 minus 7790. Okay, whatever the value will be getting, that value has been given. So to simplify this, there is a formula also. There is a formula. So M is given, M dot is given, del U is given, V effective is known. So when you solve this value, substitute the values in this, you will get the your T value. This is another formula. Note down that.
$377.
Yes, absolutely right. 7 second. Okay. Now sometimes in the option they can confuse you with an units also. Okay. So they might give, you have found out 377. They can give you hour, they can give you minute, they can give you second. So you must know what is a unit also. Okay. Very good. This is another question. Okay, a rocket engine produces a thrust of this much at a sea level with an propellant flow rate is this much. Find out the specific impulse. It's a very simple one. Specific impulse by This is the formula. Just substitute the values, you will get it.
$250, ma'am.
250 you're getting? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because answer ranges from 250 to 256. So,
Ma'am, I got 255.
okay. So 3 into 4000 into 9.8 and 8.1, it will vary. So 250. I think you have taken 10 here, right?
Yeah,
I think
ma'am.
you have taken 10.
Rough calculation.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So 250 second. Okay. So until the G value is given, note down that G value is 8.9.8 or 9.81. So when you're starting with a GATE exam, right, before they will give you some of the basic parameters, okay? They will give you some of the basic parameters like density of water, or what is, if the value of gamma is not given, they will give you the CP value, right? They will give you some kind of basic chart, okay? While doing that, please look into the chart, what are the values of G, or some of the values have been given, right? Try to utilize that particular value. Got my point? Okay. Yes, this is another question. A rocket engine has a sea level specific impulse and nozzle throat area has been given. While testing at a sea level condition, the characteristic velocity and the pressure for the thrust chamber are. So this is for the C star, that is characteristic velocity. This is the pressure, that is P naught or PC. Assume the acceleration due to gravity 9.8 they have given in this question, and the thrust produced by the rocket. So you need to find out the thrust. Now what is the formula for the thrust? Is m dot VE plus PE minus PA into AE. Okay. Now we know the specific impulse. We know the AE value. We don't know the mass flow rate. We don't know the VE value. So how we can utilize? We can ISP equals to VE by G. Can we use this formula? So to find out VE, ISP dot G, we will get that VE value. Now how to find the mass flow rate? So see the given data. What are the given data has been given? Sorry, area of the throat they have given. AT has been given. Okay, AT has been given. Okay, so recall what is the formula for the thrust chamber, that characteristic velocity. C star equals to P naught AT by m dot. Okay, so these two values also known. So from there you can find what is m dot, that is P naught AT by C star. Substitute the values, you will get the m dot. These are the parameters are not given, so we can simply ignore or tends to 0. The pressure thrust will become 0. Substitute the values, you will get the answer. Now solve and let me know what is the answer. Could you able to follow? Tell me the answer. Tell me what is the VE value you are getting?
Ma'am, 25.15 kilonewton, ma'am.
Which one?
Thrust, ma'am.
Thrust is how much?
25.15 kilonewton, ma'am.
This one?
Yeah.
No. No. Because answer what they have given, it should range from 2.7 to 27.2 kilonewton.
27 to 27.2, ma'am.
Yeah, yes. See, they have given 1 decimal places. So you have to be carefully note that value. 1 decimal means you should at least
Ma'am,
get.
I got 27.06.
Yes. See, you should write down 1 decimal place. So 27.1 I can say. Either keep 0 or 1. Right? So when you are solving, VE value which I have got, VE value which I got is 2058 meter per second, and C star value I have got, C star value is there, M dot value I got 13.16 kg per second. So when I have substituted this value 13.16 into 2058, I am getting near about 27.1 kilometer. Okay, this is the answer, right? Please check that the answer ranges from 27.2 to 27.2 kilonewton. Okay, let's solve this last problem of today's session. The specific impulse of the rocket engine they have given. See the unit. We know the unit of specific impulse is second, but they have given in this way. Then mass of the rocket at burnout they have given. That is, burnout is given. Propellant consumed mass is given. Assume all the factors contribute to the velocity loss is negligible. Okay. The change in velocity, the change in vehicle velocity we need to find in kilometer per second in round off to 2 decimal places. This is very important when you are going for a GATE exam. You might get some value point of some factors, but you have to note down the 2 decimal, whatever the decimal places they will be mentioning, you have to follow that only. Okay, so they have given ISP. Okay, we have to find this one. So what is the formula? V effective, okay, ln 1 by mr. So since V effective is not given, they have given ISP. We can write in this way also. That is, what is mr? M naught by mf, right? So what is m naught? Is mb plus mp. Okay, so that means we have 1000 plus 720, we get as 1720 kg. mf or mb. Okay, this value. Now how to find this, convert this thing? How to convert this Newton second per kg to second? How, what we can do? How to convert this? We need to convert this unit in terms of second, right? But here we have Newton second per kg.
15.96, ma'am. Delta U.
Delta U is?
15.96 kilometer
No,
per second.
no. But before that, tell me how to convert this. This we have 3000 Newton
Yeah,
second per. We need to convert in terms of second. How to convert that? We need to convert it, isn't it? Look into the unit. Newton second per kg.
9.81, ma'am.
Into in multiplication or divide by?
It's divided by, ma'am.
Divided by 9.81. Okay? How much you will get? So whatever the factor, okay, into G, okay, into ln of this value.
Ma'am, it is 1.68, ma'am.
Yes, 1.628.
628.
Round off to 1.628, that means round off to 2 decimal places, 1.63 I can say.
Yeah.
Okay, kilometer per second, because answer ranges from 1.60 to 1.63. Okay, so always like note down the how much round off to 2 decimal places. Okay, that is one of the important thing. See, here they have also asked in terms of kilometer per second. Okay, so in from the meter you need to convert in terms of kilometer again. Okay, so I hope you got the idea of this particular topic.